To make a recording of Ravel Pavane, find the music in your binders. It's right near the end, 5 pages back from the end. And if you open your binders, you can position the first page like so, and you can see all the music at the same time. And so this is what our piano duet project is going to be, and also the MIDI sequence of Ravel Pavane. And then open the same thing up on your desktop. So go to your Suko email. You should see something like this. It's a communication from me. And if you get to the attachment, control-click it. You can save it on your desktop as this. I've done it before, that's why you have the 2 there, but put it on your desktop, then you can get out of Chrome and just open this up. Scroll down about, there we go, pretty near the end there. And you should see the same thing in PDF form on your desktop. You can resize this by using Command minus. See the whole thing at once. But I like that bigger view, frankly, because it works well with GarageBand. Anyway, notice you got primo, secondo, first player, second player, and 2 staves for each one. And we can think of that as track 1, 2, 3, and 4 very easily. And you'll notice that the piece consists of 5 phrases on 5 lines, each 4 bars long. It works really well to make a sequence just line by line and doing all the tracks for each of the 4-bar phrases. So, I'm going to set up a GarageBand sequence. I have GarageBand in my dock, but if you don't, go to the Finder, Applications, find GarageBand in the Applications, drag it down to the dock, and keep it there. It's very useful. We'll be using it a lot. Once it's in the dock, you click it. And I've done various versions of this. We're going to make a new project. Piano, we'll choose that. Give it a name. Ravel Pavane Kim. Put it on the desktop. Signature is 4/4. The key is C, but it's not going to be 120 beats per minute, but 58. The metronome beat is going to be 58 because it's slow. So we're going to change that. And if we do it at 58, then we're going to have exactly the tempo that Ravel suggests. And we'll create the file on the desktop. I'll replace the one I already did. And if we take this lower right corner and bring it up as far as it will go, not very far, notice that we can still see a nice line of music from the PDF file underneath it. Very convenient. And so we can just do one line at a time. And it works out very well. You can even go to this and expand it again. Make it Control. And it will still sort of fit that space very well. You can still scroll the PDF even with GarageBand in the foreground. So we have one track by default, grand piano. We need 4 grand piano tracks. Easiest way to do that is just to duplicate this. You know, track D like that. Or, you know, quickly, if you press Command D, you'll end up with 4 tracks. In the control, you want the metronome and you also want a count-in. Snap to grid, optional, but sure, you can keep it. And then each of these 4 tracks will correspond to the 4 staves in the score. Notice that the first 4 bars only use 2 staves. But if you're playing this as a duet, I would suggest that it's easier to do these first 4 bars if you split it up and have the first player play the top line and the second player play the bottom line. And it certainly works better for the sequence that way. So I'm going to record this as if it was in this first track for the purpose of the MIDI sequence. So we're going to go to the first track, and when I hit record, you'll hear a count-in of a metronome beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's how I know to start playing. If you scroll this, you can see our first little recording project is this line right here. Make sure that this first track is selected, that we're right at the beginning of the piece. If I press record, we'll start. The notes are A, C, E, D, G, A, C, E, D, G, A, B, C, G, A, E. It's up here. It's a combination of eighth notes and quarter notes. Some of the quarter notes are tied. So if this quarter note is tied across, you're going to wait for a metronome beat on the tie, and it's going to be equal to a beat and a half. Same thing here. This is another way of writing the same thing, really, a dotted quarter. You have a quarter note with a dot after it, means that you add on half of its value, and it has exactly the same length as this, but we have a convention of using ties when we go across from the second to the third beat, and dotted quarters on the first beat, and it does make it easier to read that way. So if I press this, you're going to hear my count in. Oh, almost forgot something. Bring the volume, you can't see it on the screen, but bring the volume of your own keyboard all the way down so that you don't hear both the keyboard and the computer at the same time. So if I hit record, you'll hear a 4-beat count in, and then you start playing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Two, 3, 4, off. Click on this, double click it. You'll see a piano roll, no, representation of it in a window down here. Go instead to score. And you'll see something that looks very much like the page on the bottom. If you want more room to see it, I would suggest you hit this little I, and then you get rid of the orchestration window, and you can see it in its entirety. And I did pretty well. It corresponds exactly to the printed page on the bottom. So once you get that, we'll do the next track. And remember how I said that if you're playing it as a duet, the second player can play it. So I'm going to put it not on the second track, but on the third track. And we're going to do the next line. And you can scroll down here to see it. Notice it's also in treble clef, but it changes to bass clef at the end. It has 3 notes in the bass clef. I would suggest that you leave these 3 notes to do as a separate recording on a different track, on the 4th track. And instead of going through this clef change, take this line that goes A, B, C, D, E, and also go up to the E to finish the 4 bars in this track. So altogether we're going to go A, G, F, E, F, A, G, F, E, F, A, B, C, D, E, 2, 3, 4. And that will add up to 4 bars. You have to go back to the beginning every time. Easiest way is just to press that. And then you'll hear the 4-bar count in again. 1, 2. Stop the recording in it. You notice that it has a rest here, but up here it looks like it goes past the beginning of bar 5, and here's why. These are editable, and this is how long I held it, a little past where I wanted, and so I can shorten that. I can shorten it all the way down to a quarter note, but these can be changed. So if I go like that, then it's going to end right at bar 5. You can also take a note like that if you play the wrong one and start moving it up and down. Notice that I'm still missing these last 4 notes that go down in the bass clef, and I would advise you to record them separately on the 4th track. It goes A, B, C, D, E, and then a low E, 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 E. These are all E's. That octave down and an octave down again, like that. If I want to record these last 3 beats, I can start in bar 4. That means when I hear a count in, I'm going to hear the 2 things I just recorded, A, B, C, G, A, E, at the same time as I'm listening to my 4-beat count in. So here's the way it goes. once again, this thing maybe goes a little bit past the downbeat, but it won't matter because we're going to start recording again in bar 5 anyway. So that's the first 4-bar phrase. Then we got to do the second system. Notice this time we have all 4 staves with notes on them, and we'll just do 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first track we'll record is this one, track number 1. You have to remember to select that up on top or highlight it, and then if you can move this to see just that if you want. We're ready to start in bar 5 with the top track. Here we go. 1. Notice that I did not play the last 2 eighth notes on the line because they're what you would call a pickup going into the next page. So just leave these off for now. Next thing is bar this. Also, we're going to start at bar 5, doing the second track, which is blank until now. And that's going to be nothing but D, 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 oh, until the very end you go B, C. So, record that. 1. Now, notice, I made a little mistake. And I hit 2 notes here when I didn't mean to. So, you can just fix that by deleting one of them. Pretty easy, huh? And that's easier than recording the whole thing again. And then you can see that we scroll it a little bit, that it adds up to what we have down here. Track 3, scroll down again. We got treble clef still. F, F sharp, G, F sharp, F, F sharp, G, F sharp, F, F sharp, G, F sharp, F, E. So notice that you have an F that changes to an F sharp here, but once you change it, it stays sharp until the end of the bar. This is an F natural. Technically, it's not really necessary to have the natural there because it's canceled when you get to the bar line, but you can see that it's easier to read if you put what's called a courtesy accidental, saying no, you just played an F sharp, now it's an F natural, followed by F sharp, G, F sharp, F, F sharp, G, F sharp, and then F natural, going to an E. And I will play it. Remember, we got to always go back and start at the same spot. Bar 5. And record. The computer does not bother with these courtesy accidentals. And so it's F, F sharp, G, F sharp, and then you have to just realize that it's going to be F natural again because of the bar line. But as you can see why notation programs let you put this natural in there, because it makes it easier to read. But this is what it should look like. And then all that's left is the fourth line, and you notice this is going to be in bass clef. And this is an E, whole note, E, 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 and goes up to an A. Remember, all cows eat grass. And then you got to count the ledger lines down. This would be a C, B, an A. So it's E, A. Each of these whole notes is a whole 4 beats long. So I'm ready to record. If I'm on track 4, bar 5, it's going to start recording here, even if that's going to cut off this little bar of rest. Here we go again. So, looks pretty good, except you notice that here I maybe didn't hold it quite long enough. I have to lift up my hand to play it again after all. And this is easily fixable. How are we going to do that? Just sort of drag it a little bit. If you drag it to there, then that becomes a whole note, and it matches what we have down here. It's kind of hard to see. You have to realize that bar 5 starts here and that this is the previous recording. So that's the first page of the sequence for Pavane.